Remember when you could fall asleep anywhere? In the car, on the couch, even in class? So why does sleep get worse the older you get? By adulthood, sleep feels like a battle, but it's not your fault. What if I told you? Your sleep has been destroyed by evolution. Society is forcing you to sleep wrong, and that everything you've been told about fixing your sleep is a lie. Because the way we sleep was never meant to be like this. Stick around, because in the next few minutes, we'll uncover the shocking truth about how sleep changes from birth to old age, and why it just keeps getting worse. Babies. So tiny, so cute, so determined to make sure you never sleep again. Newborns sleep up to 16 hours a day, but somehow it's never when you need them to. And if you're a new parent wondering, why does my baby wake up every 5 seconds? Don't worry, it's not bad parenting. It's literally how human babies are designed. Their sleep cycles are completely different from yours. They don't even make their own melatonin for months. And the reason they twitch in their sleep? That's actually their brains secretly training their body. Sounds crazy, right? Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll never look at baby sleep the same way again. So, why do newborns sleep in such a weird way? First off, did you know babies don't even do deep sleep like adults? They spend about 50% of their sleep in REM, while adults only spend about 20%. Basically, their brains are in turbo mode when they sleep. They're making 1 million new brain connections per second. They're learning how to control their limbs while they dream. And their brain is constantly wiring itself for memory and growth, which is why newborn sleep looks so, chaotic. Okay, get this. Babies actually experience sleep paralysis multiple times a night. You know that creepy feeling where you wake up but can't move? Yeah, babies deal with that all the time. It's because their brain literally freezes their body so they don't act out their dreams. It's the same reason you can't run away when you're dreaming about being chased. Except babies, they're still learning to control it. That's why they do those little sleep jerks. Their brain is testing out movement while they're dreaming. It's like a built-in training program for their muscles. So why do newborns wake up every 2 to 3 hours? Because their tiny brains think it's the Stone Age. Back in the wild, babies who slept too deeply didn't survive. But the ones who woke up often, checking if mom was nearby, making sure they were safe, they lived. That survival instinct is still hardwired into babies today. So when your newborn wakes up at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., and 6 a.m., just remember, their brain still thinks there might be a predator nearby, which is adorable, and also completely exhausting. You ever notice that newborns don't care at all whether it's day or night? That's because they don't even have a circadian rhythm yet. Yep. The internal clock that makes you feel tired at night and awake in the morning? Newborns don't have one. Why? Because they don't produce melatonin, the sleepy hormone, for about 3 months. Their cortisol, wake-up hormone, is basically non-existent. Their bodies have no clue what time it is. They're just sleeping whenever they want. A lot of people think babies should start sleeping through the night at like 3 months. False. Here's the reality. 60% of babies still wake up at least once per night at 6 months old. 30% of babies still wake up regularly at 1 year. It's not bad parenting. It's just how baby sleep works. And I hate to break it to you, but sleeping through the night? That's not even a real thing. Adults wake up several times a night too. We just don't remember it. Babies? They just have louder opinions about it. You ready for the #1 easiest way to help babies sleep longer at night? It's not some fancy sleep training course. It's not white noise machines. It's not rocking them for hours. It's light. Sounds simple, but here's why it works. Morning sunlight helps babies start building their circadian rhythm. Light exposure during the day triggers melatonin production at night. Babies who get more daylight actually sleep longer and deeper. And no, this doesn't mean leaving them outside like a potted plant. Even 10 to 15 minutes of daylight in the morning can start setting their little internal clocks. Boom. Science. So now you know why newborn sleep is absolute chaos, but also kind of brilliant. But here's where things get even crazier. Once they hit toddlerhood, they go from waking up all night to waking up way too early. Why? Because their brains hit hypergrowth mode and their sleep schedule gets completely reprogrammed. And trust me, if you thought newborn sleep was rough, you're not ready for toddler mornings. Toddlers, why they wake up too early and have infinite energy. If you thought newborn sleep was tough, welcome to toddler mornings. Gone are the 2 a.m. wake-ups. Now, they're up at the crack of dawn, full of energy. Meanwhile, you feel like you got hit by a truck. Why do toddlers wake up before the sun, run on infinite energy, and refuse to nap? even though they desperately need one. It's not just bad luck, it's science. So, why do toddlers wake up so freaking early? Blame their brand new circadian rhythm. When babies are born, they don't have a sleep schedule. But by age 2, their internal clock is fully wired. And here's the problem. It makes them super sensitive to morning light. Their melatonin drops fast in the early hours. Their brain says, "Wake up, time to play," before it's even remotely reasonable. Most toddlers naturally wake up between 5:30 and 7 a.m. That's just how their internal clock is built. You ever notice how toddlers wake up instantly at full power? Like, no grogginess, no warm-up, just 100% go mode? That's because their sleep drive is completely different from yours. They get way more deep sleep than adults. Their bodies reset energy faster. They literally don't experience sleep inertia the way we do. Basically, they wake up fully charged, and we wake up running on 10% battery. Why do toddlers fight naps like their life depends on it, even when they're obviously tired? Blame the biggest brain growth spurt of their lives. Between ages 2 to 3, toddlers' brains are doubling in complexity. They're learning language at record speed, their brains are hyperactive all day, and their sleep hormones? All over the place. Their body is begging for rest, but their brain is saying, "Nope, too much to learn." And trust me, if you thought toddler sleep was bad, just wait till we talk about teenagers. Because once they hit puberty, their sleep cycle flips completely upside down. Teenagers. Why they stay up late and why school is ruining their sleep. You ever wonder why teenagers suddenly turn into night owls? One day, they're waking up at 6 a.m., bouncing off the walls. And then boom, now they can't get out of bed before noon. They stay up late, sleep in whenever they can, and somehow still wake up exhausted. If you've ever said, "Just go to bed earlier," yeah, that doesn't work. Because this isn't a bad habit, it's biological. Teenagers' sleep schedules aren't broken. They're just wired differently. And the real problem? School is forcing them to wake up before their brains are ready. So let's break down exactly what's happening. By the time puberty hits, something crazy happens to a teenager's body clock. Their melatonin release shifts later. Instead of feeling sleepy at 9 p.m., their brain now says, "Nah, we're good. Let's stay up." And it's not just a small shift. It's 2 to 3 hours later than when they were kids. Their bodies literally aren't built to fall asleep early anymore. And if you force them to, they just lay there, wide awake, scrolling TikTok. It's not laziness. It's not a bad habit. It's just how teenage brains are designed. So now their body wants to stay up late, but guess what? School starts earlier than ever. Teenagers need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. But most high schools start at 7:30 a.m., which means they have to wake up around 6 a.m. or earlier. Do the math. If their body won't let them fall asleep before midnight, and they have to wake up at 6 a.m., that's 6 hours of sleep, maximum. And here's the worst part. They never fully catch up. Most teenagers live in a constant state of sleep deprivation, and that has real consequences. After just 1 week of getting less than 6 hours of sleep per night, a teenager's brain function is the same as someone who's legally drunk. Yeah. That means most high school students are basically sleepwalking through life. And guess what happens when you're sleep deprived? You can't focus. You can't remember things. You're more emotional, more stressed, and more impulsive. No wonder teenagers are grumpy all the time. Their bodies are literally fighting against the schedule society forces on them. But here's where it gets even worse. Because of chronic sleep deprivation, teenagers turn to things that make the problem worse. Caffeine, screens, staying up late on weekends to catch up. And instead of fixing their sleep schedule, it just makes it even more messed up. And then, by the time they graduate, the damage is already done. This sleep deprivation carries into adulthood. Because once you hit your 20s and 30s, your sleep doesn't just get bad, it gets worse. And unlike teenagers, your body doesn't bounce back as fast. So if you feel more exhausted now than ever before, that's not just life being unfair. It's science. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this next part. Adults. Why sleep gets worse and why you're always tired. You ever wonder why you feel more tired now than you did as a teenager? Like, back then, you could stay up all night, wake up early, and still function. Now, one bad night of sleep and you feel like you've been hit by a truck. And the worst part? Even when you do get a full night's sleep, you still wake up exhausted. What's going on? Why does sleep get worse as we get older? Well, here's the harsh truth. It's not just stress. It's not just bad habits. Your sleep is actually falling apart on a biological level. And fixing it? It's a lot harder than just going to bed earlier. Here's what's happening. First, your deep sleep is disappearing. By the time you hit your 30s, you're already losing about 2% of your deep sleep every decade. By your 40s and 50s, your deep sleep is half of what it used to be. And deep sleep is everything. It's what makes you feel rested. It's what helps your brain recover. It's what keeps your memory sharp. And as deep sleep declines, your nights start feeling lighter and more restless. That's why you wake up more often in the middle of the night. And that's why even after 7 to 8 hours of sleep, you still feel tired. But that's just the start. Because the second thing killing your sleep, cortisol, your stress hormone, is way too high. As a teenager, your biggest stress was probably homework and social drama. As an adult, you've got work, bills, responsibilities, family, deadlines. And oh yeah, the entire world is stressful. And the thing about stress, it doesn't just make you feel anxious, it literally blocks your brain from entering deep sleep, which means you're lying there, exhausted, but wide awake. And even when you do sleep, your brain never fully relaxes. And that leads us to the biggest modern sleep killer, screens. Remember how your body naturally releases melatonin to make you sleepy? Well, every time you scroll on your phone before bed, you're sending a message to your brain. It's still daytime. Don't get sleepy yet. Your screen's blue light literally blocks melatonin production, which is why, even when you're tired, you feel wired at night. And then the next morning, you're even more exhausted. So what do? You chug coffee. And here's the problem with caffeine. It stays in your system for 12 hours. That harmless afternoon coffee, it's still in your body at midnight. Even if you can fall asleep, your sleep is lighter and more disrupted. And now you're stuck in a cycle. You're exhausted, so you drink coffee. The coffee messes up your sleep. You wake up tired again. More coffee, worse sleep, repeat. And by the time you're in your 30s, 40s, and beyond, this just becomes your new normal. The scary part? Most people don't even realize their sleep is this bad. Because over time, your brain adapts to sleep deprivation. It starts thinking exhaustion is normal, but it's not. You're supposed to wake up feeling rested. You're supposed to have energy without caffeine. You're supposed to sleep deeply, not wake up 5 times a night. And if this all sounds too familiar, here's the good news. You can still fix it. But it takes rewiring your brain back to how it was supposed to sleep. And the first step? It's not what you think. Because by the time you hit your 60s and beyond, your sleep takes an even bigger hit. Because when you get older, your body stops sleeping the way it used to. And the reason why? It's kind of terrifying. Older adults. Why sleep falls apart and why you wake up at 4 a.m. You ever wonder why older adults wake up ridiculously early, even when they don't have to? Why do grandparents seem to be up before sunrise while younger people can sleep in for hours? And why do so many older adults struggle with falling asleep and staying asleep? Even though they feel more tired than ever, it's not just a habit, it's biological, and it's happening faster than you think. By the time you hit your 60s and beyond, your sleep isn't just a little worse, it's completely different. And there's one terrifying reason why. Your brain is losing the ability to sleep deeply. Remember deep sleep, the kind that makes you feel rested, helps your memory, keeps your body strong. By the time you're 60, you've already lost about half of it. By your 70s, some people have almost no deep sleep left. And here's where it gets scary. Deep sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's what flushes toxins out of your brain. Toxins that, if they build up too much, are linked to Alzheimer's and dementia. Yeah, that's why sleep isn't just about energy anymore. It's about your long-term brain health. And the less deep sleep you get, the harder it is for your brain to clear out those toxic proteins. That's why scientists now believe bad sleep isn't just a symptom of Alzheimer's, it might be a cause. But that's not the only thing happening. As you get older, your circadian rhythm starts shifting earlier. That means your melatonin starts releasing sooner in the evening. You start feeling tired earlier than you used to. And by the time 4 or 5 a.m. rolls around, your body is already done sleeping. That's why older adults wake up before sunrise, no matter how late they go to bed. And even worse, your sleep is more fragmented. Your brain gets worse at keeping you in deep sleep, so you start waking up multiple times per night, sometimes without even realizing it. That's why older adults feel more exhausted during the day, but still struggle to sleep at night. And then something else happens. You start napping more during the day because your body is trying to make up for bad sleep at night. But here's the problem. Those daytime naps, they make it even harder to sleep at night. And now you're stuck in a cycle. You sleep badly at night. You nap during the day. You feel more exhausted. You keep waking up at 4 a.m. You can't fall back asleep, and the cycle repeats. And the scary part? Most people don't even realize how bad their sleep has gotten. Because at this point, exhaustion just feels normal. So if you've ever heard an older person say, "I just don't need as much sleep as I used to," that's not actually true. Their body still needs it. It just can't get it anymore. And the craziest part? This decline in sleep doesn't start at 60 or 70. It starts in your 30s and 40s. Which means, if you're not already fixing your sleep now, it's only going to get worse. But here's the good news. There are ways to slow this down. You can actually train your brain to hold on to deep sleep for longer, and you don't need sleep meds to do it. Because the secret? It's way simpler than you think. And that's what we're talking about in the next chapter. Because if you want to actually fix your sleep, you need to understand the one mistake most people make that's ruining it every night. And trust me, you're probably doing it right now. How to fix your sleep, the one mistake that's ruining it, and how to reverse the damage. All right, let's be real. At this point, you know sleep gets worse as you get older. You know your deep sleep is disappearing. You know stress, screens, and caffeine are wrecking your ability to rest. And you know that bad sleep isn't just about feeling tired. It's literally damaging your brain. So now the big question, how do you fix it? Well, here's what most people get wrong. They think fixing sleep is about going to bed earlier, taking melatonin, cutting out caffeine. And sure, those things help a little. But they don't fix the real problem. Because the biggest mistake people make when trying to fix their sleep is this. They focus on nighttime when they should be focusing on the morning. That's right. Better sleep doesn't start at night. It starts the second you wake up. And if you get your mornings wrong, your sleep is already ruined before the day even starts. So here's the secret. Your body's entire sleep cycle is controlled by one thing: light. Your brain doesn't just magically know when to get sleepy. It takes cues from your environment. And the biggest cue? The sun. Because the second your eyes see morning sunlight, your brain starts a countdown. About 14 to 16 hours later, it will start producing melatonin. That means if you see sunlight at 8 a.m., your body starts preparing for sleep at 10 p.m. But if you don't get sunlight until noon, your brain won't get sleepy until at least 2 a.m. And if you're staring at artificial light all day, but never getting natural light, your body is completely confused. Which is why, even when you try to go to bed early, you lay there wide awake. So the number one rule of fixing your sleep? Get morning sunlight. And no, this doesn't mean just opening your blinds. Indoor light is 100 times weaker than outdoor light. You need real daylight hitting your eyes, even if it's cloudy. Just 10 to 15 minutes of morning sunlight can reset your entire sleep cycle. And if you do this consistently, your body will naturally start feeling sleepy at the right time. But there's another mistake that's messing up your sleep. And this one, you're probably doing every night without realizing it. Because the second the sun goes down, your body is waiting for one thing: darkness. Your brain is programmed to release melatonin when it gets dark. But guess what we do? We keep the lights on. We stare at screens. We flood our eyes with artificial daylight until the moment we go to bed. And then we wonder why we can't fall asleep. So here's what you need to do. Dim the lights at night. At least an hour before bed, start turning off overhead lights. Use lamps, candles, or warm-colored bulbs. And for the love of deep sleep, put your phone away. Because even if you use night mode, even if you lower the brightness, even if you think you're just checking one more thing, that screen is telling your brain, it's still daytime, don't get sleepy. And that one habit is ruining your sleep every night. Now you know why sleep gets worse with age, and more importantly, how to fix it. You don't need pills. You don't need hacks. You just need to reset your body's natural sleep rhythms, the way they were designed to work. And let us know in the comments, what's your biggest sleep struggle? Because here at Parent Squad, we're all about making life easier, whether it's sleep, parenting, or just figuring it all out. So if you found this helpful, turn on notifications and hit subscribe to join the squad.